Americans, how is life under Joe Biden going? I wake up, I go to work, I come home, I get in my bed, possibly sleep. Second verse, same as the first edit. Damn, this comment has more upvotes than the original post. Edit 2, bruh, everybody's out here talking about what song this is from. I don't know all these songs y'all are talking about, but I just know that I got it from a song from an old show called Ed, Edd and Eddy on Cartoon Network. I don't doubt that they took inspiration from a different song for that song, but I think it was something called Friends Are There to Help You or something. Edit 3, no, I am not a man, I am female. Edit 4, no, I am not rich or privileged, I literally live in income-restricted housing and drive a broken-down 2003 Chevy Malibu and work overnights putting stuff on a shelf. I live mostly paycheck to paycheck. I consider it not living paycheck to paycheck if I have $10 in my account at the end of the month. Sometimes sleep and food are a luxury. Just thought I should clear those things up. Mostly the same. The only real difference in my life is the people around me not talking about the president. People just hate my governor now. Edit, Oregon, folks lol. She put a mask mandate up a couple of months back and people lost their minds lol. My parents are dead and I stalk the streets of Gotham at night dressed like a bat. Joe Biden, not Joe Chill. Or Joe Kerr. Have you seen his brother Wayne? My mother went to school with a Wayne Kerr. NBA champion, won multiple rings formerly as a player and currently as a head coach, Steve Kerr named his son Nick. Sorts by controversial. I swear this question will be asked like every 2 months. And always by accounts created very recently. For example, Ops account is 1 month old. Depends on where you get your news. So basically, if you control the news, you control the whole nation of people? Yikes. That's basically accurate. Control of information. This is extremely dangerous to our democracy. 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 You know when you've had a really long, exhausting day and don't have the energy to make a nice dinner, but you still need to eat something, so you throw some bologna and mayo onto white bread and eat it standing over the sink? You know it's not the best, but it's a meal, and it's way better than some expired crap you threw out. It's like that. I recall reading a similar analogy. Biden is the first boyfriend you get after a really bad divorce. Hess not your forever guy, Hess not perfect, but Hess enough to tide you over while you wait for a better option. Hess our rebound president. I read once that life doesn't change much from president to president unless you're really poor or really rich. Since I'm neither, stuff hasn't changed much for me. In the words of Terry Pratchett, those too weak to be movers or shakers, but too strong to be easily moved or shook. It's nice not to be constantly bombarded with daily news about what the president is doing that's completely unrelated to the usual duties of the president. I am just eating a s'more. Edit. As a naturalized American, s'mores are one of the bestest things in life regardless of who is the president. Thanks Connecticut for the graham crackers. And thank y'all for the awards. I've been in the US for 8 years now, and I've realized that the biggest thing the president changes is the public tone. Nothing else really noticeably changes to the man on the street other than the interpersonal discourse of the public. This is honestly a bad couple of years for your take. Both presidents have actively decided to offer stimulus checks directly to people, which has immediately affected millions directly, and likely has long-term implications. Then things like evictions being put on hold has affected millions. Various tariffs have had direct effects on workers in those industries. I'm not even debating good or bad. Just that executive decisions by the president have had major consequences for the everyday person in the last 2 years. Just read all of the Americans' comments and watch us argue each other. This is what life is like here. No one ever agrees anymore. I can't remember a time in my life where America has been so divided. People that have been friends for years, even decades, won't speak to one another anymore if they have opposing views on Biden or the jab. I can't remember a time in my life where America has been so divided. I can. I grew up during the Vietnam era. This is old shit and the song and dance is nothing new. It is new to the folks born after 1970, and for many, I imagine it's a shock that there can be such intemperance in the society, but it's always been there. We're seeing it now only as this past election, Trump, and then COVID, has cut through the veneer of unity. Thing is, that veneer has been partially created by business as a way to create a consumerist society, and it's worked, up until recently. The pandemic has really broken things open. Yay, I watched that PBS documentary a little before the George Floyd protests and I was like, goddamn, they rioted and brought out the National Guard to shoot live ammo at college students. Why isn't this talked about more? I had a similar revelation about Vietnam 30 years ago because the DJ played Ohio by Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young. Absolutely no mention of it in my history class, just the teacher and sometimes pop culture making vague tensions were high statements that made it appear it was all college-age hippies. U2.B Tin Soldiers and Nixon's Calling, we're finally on our own. This summer I hear the calling. 4 dead in Ohio. Gotta get down to it, soldiers are gunning us down. I heard that song in high school in the 90s cause I loved classic rock. Made me go WTF is this about? Did some research. Kent State was way before my time, but it opened my eyes to how divisive America is even to itself. I work as a dental hygienist, so I meet all sorts of people all day long. In short, I can, likely, assume who watches too much news and who doesn't. The ones that watch too much of the news are usually the ones who are the most on edge, confrontational, etc. I'm only 26, but America today makes me wish we could go back to the pre-social media days. Based on the comments alone, you can see how powerful the media is in our country. Kind of insane, right? It's only because we tolerate it. Who? 'Cause it feel like he doesn't even exist, lol. The flood zone is not immediately improved just because the rain has stopped. Nothing's changed. Everything is still doomed and I still hate my government. That's the spirit. Anyone but the orange stain and I'm fine. Life is the same. The president comes and goes. What we really need are term limits for Congress. 2 3-year terms, no more no less. I looked forward to him being president but am disappointed so far. I voted for him, but truly nothing has changed so far, which I expected anyways. Still immigrants in camps, no sign of healthcare reform, nothing done on the environment yet, no student loan forgiveness. He hasn't really done much of anything about some of his major promises. Sure, Hess being hamstrung a bit by 2 Democratic senators, but that's still not good enough of an excuse for me. It's going to be a do-nothing first 2 years, Dems will get rocked during the midterms and we may get someone worse than Trump in 24. Fine. I'm not as hung up on the news as I was over the last 4 years. Anxiety is definitely down. I'm ignoring political bullshit as best I can. It's going. It's the exact same except I don't have to hear about whatever Trump did every 10 minutes. Since Biden became president, my fiancée is no longer banned from my country just because of what country she was born. I'm very grateful for that improvement. Yay, feel like on this one, you know the answer if you're asking the question, lol. No one is ever going to be 100% happy. I really don't care who is on office, but the politics behind both parties' politics have gotten way off agenda emo. I'm not under him, he works for me. Could be worse. The same as under any president. The rich continue to exploit our resources and dodge their share of taxes while lobbying government to make themselves richer and the poor, poorer. They strip our rights while exploiting our data for their profit. At the same time, those in power convince the working class that their party is the right one while there is no left or right. The government was bought and paid for by corporations years ago. Divide and conquer, and with the internet America is very easy to divide. My life is the exact same as it was before. I can't remember. I would like to think that normal everyday Americans aren't as polarized as media would have you believe. I live in Louisiana and just about everyone around here is of the mentality at this point that they just want to be left alone. Sometimes I do wish that we were allowed to criticize Biden, but I feel like every time I try to, I just get, what would you rather have Trump back? No, I wouldn't, but I feel like if we as a people are hard on the president, then eventually we might actually get a decent caliber of person for the job. That's just me though.